just called Frank Keating, Governor Frank Keating, and he says that 3 FBI anti-terrorist teams are en route to Oklahoma City right now.
Been able to confirm that it was a car explosion. That word coming to us from Mayor Ron Norick earlier. 1,200 pounds of explosives parked out in front of the federal building.
And ATF has confirmed that as well.
You just saw a 180-degree change in the newscast. The government line. Here you see a building right across the street, barely even damaged. And then, as you turn towards the Alfred P. Murrah building right across the street, you see absolute devastation. And you can't really see what happened here because they hurriedly destroyed the building, the crime scene, as quickly as possible and kept independent examiners and examiners and experts out. So we'll never really have a true accounting of what happened here. All I'm calling for is a real investigation. And the people of Oklahoma City have been calling for an investigation. So you've got ex-military people, politicians, police chiefs, all across the board smell a huge, gigantic, stinking rat. And it doesn't matter to our government. They're just going to use our children as much as they can in those deaths to get as much gas mileage for big government and police state as they can possibly get. And I'm telling you something, that is flat wrong. Frederick Whitehurst, who was one of the heads of the FBI crime lab, resigning and saying that they were manufacturing evidence in this case and others. Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about it. It just, I don't know if one man could have done this, but so far that's the only man we've convicted, so I have to go by the way the courts are.
What do you think about the multiple seismograph evidence from the University of Oklahoma and the U.S. Geological Survey that picked up multiple explosions?
I didn't hear much about that. And I feel sorry for these people. I got people that live here, and they're not too sure what's going on around here, so.
And I've just been asking people that look like they're knowledgeable. Y'all familiar with what happened in 1933 in Germany? The Reichstag? Y'all remember that? It happened to their parliament building?
Right, that's right. They blew that up. Hitler blew that up to get rid of or to make it look like it was the current government.
Communist, yes.
Or the communists.
Yes,
yeah.
He wanted fear. He wanted some terrorism bills, and he got them. They didn't really get all the stuff they wanted here in America. Are you familiar with what Nero did in Rome?
Yes, he burned it, and that's where we're going right now.
All right, thanks a lot. Nice to meet you, Charles. So what's your opinion on what's going on in the government right now?
You know, hey, it's just, you know, it's too big. Government is basically too big.
Too big for us to be able to watch.
You know, that's right. You know, they offering your business, my business, and everybody else's business. They tax you to death. That's definite, you know, and they also trying to tell, basically, you know, trying to run the state's business. Everybody else, you know, it's just, you know, just basically got too big. You know, fat get fatter, rich get richer.
That's it. Charles?
It definitely ain't us.
Charles, how do you feel 2.5 years after the tragedy of what happened at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building?
Oh, it's going to happen again.
And who do you think was involved in that? Do you think it was McVeigh alone or with others, or do you think it was the government perhaps trying to scare us into submission?
Oh, he wasn't alone, definitely, you know, because can't no one or two guys pull that off by themselves, you know. And for government building to get blew up, you know they're gonna know what's going on. You know, it's more than what it is. Most definitely.
It's also kind of funny that that building was so demolished, but one right across the street was barely even damaged.
The only way that could happen is that they know the specifics and where to put the bomb at. You know,
real experts.
That's right. You know, and hey, just like I said, he was an army. You know, he's in the army, so of course he's trained in military tactics. And you just think about it, you know, the way that building was bombed and blew up, and the way it went up
was very professional.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Do you think that there have been any unanswered questions about what's happened with the bombing? Do you think the media has done a good job or has tried to find out the truth?
Yeah, I think the media have tried to, but you know, it's covered up. You know, it's covered up. What about, you know, y'all? You got to look at it. Just case in point, John Doe number 2. You know, they tell you don't even think about looking for him.
Just forget about him.
But you know, they just say. But you know.
Did you live here, Charles, at the time of the bombing?
I live here. I work right here in this building. I was at work. At work.
Did you feel it?
Yeah, I thought this building was blowing up.
How many blasts did you feel?
2.
And how far apart were they?
Oh, probably about boom, and then it's boom,
And so it wasn't a rumble, it was two separate booms.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the seismograph information that distinctly shows two separate bombings?
I heard people discuss it and the media discuss it and stuff.
Yes. Are you familiar with Mr. Keys, Representative Keys, that believes the government may be involved?
Yeah, Tom Keys from Oklahoma? Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Who do you think stood to benefit from that heinous bombing?
Basically, the government by them wanting to do what they want to do, to be able to do come and go as they please, look, search, siege, or whatever. You know, they benefit more when stuff like this happens.
So you think it was important for them to? The American people were getting too uppity. We were tired of getting pushed around. And so suddenly something happens, and now government gets to come back and be Big Brother again.
Now they got a reason. Basically, you know, all it takes is a little for them to do a lot. You know, they basically do, you know, have come and go as they please, do what they want to, as it is right now.
Are you familiar, or are you aware of the fact that all 17 of the ATF agents and over 20 of their clerks and secretaries were all off the 9th floor, but the rest of the building was filled to the gills with children and other people?
Yeah, I'm aware. You know, the media made that aware of everybody. You know, and it's like it makes you think. You know, of all the people who should have been there 9 o'clock in the morning, it's them, but they conveniently was out, or either out the court, or either doing their thing. You know, but they wasn't in the building. It makes you wonder. Did they really know what's really going on?
So we're about a block and a half away from the federal building right now?
Right.
Or from the remains of it?
Yeah. And
you were at work on April 19th, 95 when it happened, and you felt two distinct explosions.
Yes, I did.
Where were you when the bomb went off?
Me and him were standing next together.
And y'all are just about a block away?
This building right here.
And you felt two distinct blasts?
Yeah.
Both
of us fell down trying to get out the building. You know, it was just that much of a shake around there.
What was the first blast? Was it bigger or smaller than the second?
It was bigger. The second one was smaller, but you could distinctly hear it.
So it popped like a firecracker?
No, it wasn't a firecracker.
A firecracker in your ear?
No,
it was a big one.
Yeah, it was big.
Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all know what a police state is, right? Yeah. It's when the police run everything and you don't have any rights. Do y'all feel that we're moving into a police state?
Yes, definitely, for sure.
And again, that's me personally, that's not an attack on the cop on the beat. I mean, thugs and criminals control our police forces now, both state and national and local. And so that's why it's so hard to get a crime punished nowadays.
Mm-hmm. True, it is.
Seems like if you steal $100, they'll put you in prison, but if you steal $1 million, they'll give you a medal.
Yeah, and a little time to the side, you'd be on the side. Yeah.
Do y'all have any other comments about what's been going on? What's the solution to the problem? Donnie?
There's a lot of answers, different solutions.
What was that you were saying?
Divide and conquer, that's what it is.
That's an old game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate y'all's time. The facts are irrefutable. Treason is being engaged in. President Clinton bragged on Air Force One in 1996 to the press that he owed the revival of his presidency to the Oklahoma City bombing. General Parton, Ted Gunderson, Anthony Hilder, and many people with expertise in this area have documented what is happening. People like Jane Graham, who was a survivor inside the Murrah building, saw strange utility personnel placing packages against pillars in the lower areas of the building. We have photographs of the Ryder truck being loaded with fuel oil at Camp Grouper, and that is in northern Oklahoma. And you add this with the newscast before and then conflicting afterwards. You add this with Newsweek having to use a artist rendition to show you the 8-foot deep, 30-foot around crater. And then when you see the actual video evidence, it's a heap of rubble that's been blown out into the street, not in by a truck bomb. There were 2 explosions. The seismographs show that. And the only people that gained from this were those that are for federal power. That's the evidence, and it's irrefutable. And if that's not enough for you, Carol Howell, a confidential FBI informant, warned the FBI before the bombing that the Aryan Republican Army and Andre Strassmeyer were planning to bomb the building. Now see some evidence of concentration camp facilities being built in America under the guise of FEMA going back over 30 years, but it is accelerating.
Colonel North, in your work at the NSC, were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a